Welcome to Just Cook Something. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make extra large artisan bread. Let's get started. So the first thing we're going to be adding is 1.5 teaspoons of activated dry yeast, and I'm just eyeballing it. And then we're going to add 4 teaspoons of granulated sugar, along with 2 teaspoons of vinegar. Alright, next we're going to add 3 cups of filtered water. The water was warmed at 110 degrees Fahrenheit, and just pour it into the bowl carefully so it doesn't splatter, and then just give it a mix for around 30 seconds to a minute should be good enough until everything dissolves. And then we're going to let it sit there for around 10 minutes, and you'll see the yeast actually starting to grow. So that's your cue to start mixing it again after 10 minutes is up, and just mix it for around 30 seconds. Alright, next we're going to be adding salt. Now I'm using kosher salt, but you can just use regular table salt as well. And we're going to be adding 2 teaspoons of it into the bowl. Just give it a quick mix to let it dissolve. And then from there, we're going to move on to our flour. So I'm using bread flour, but if you have all-purpose flour, that's totally fine as well. And we're going to add 6 cups into the bowl. And then we're going to grab our spatula and slowly mix it in so we don't make a mess. You don't want the flour flying everywhere, so take your time with this part. And let the flour incorporate into the water until it gets nice and sticky. It doesn't have to be perfect as long as majority of the flour is gone and the consistency looks something like this. So from there, we're going to add a saran wrap over the bowl. And then we're just going to cover it with a cloth and just leave it for 2 hours. So after 2 hours, this is what it should look like. It should have doubled its size. And then we're going to use the spatula and just get all corners of the dough and fold it inwards. If you find it hard folding in the dough, you can use the back of the spatula. I find that's also helpful as well. And you're looking for that smooth consistency at the bottom of the dough. So if you look closely, you can see that it's starting to form a nice smooth texture, and that's what you're looking for. So just keep folding all sides in, do it a couple times until it looks something like this, and then cover the bowl with the saran wrap, and then we're just going to put a cloth over it again, and this time we're just going to let it rest for 1 hour. Alright, so after an hour, this is what it looks like. And this is our final mix, so we're just going to poke it just for fun. And then again, same thing, we're going to use a spatula and use the back of the spatula and just try to fold everything inwards. So you're just kind of lifting it from each corner and trying to pull it over into the middle. And you'll see this time the consistency of the dough actually is a lot more smoother, looks a lot better. So at this point, it already looks like we're good to go. So we're going to get our flour, put it on the cutting board. Make sure a lot of flour you're using because this stuff is sticky. And then from here, we're going to add some more flour on top of the dough. And then we're going to kind of pull it and tuck it all inwards from underneath. And this is the tricky part, especially with this big piece of dough. We're going to try to pinch all corners in, and then we're just going to flip it. And this is what I find most helpful to get it into its proper shape, is when you do that one flip, and then you just start smoothing it and tucking all corners in. You'll know your dough is ready when the top of the dough is nice and smooth. From there, we can take some parchment paper and then carefully just put it into the bowl. And then we're going to add some extra flour on top of the dough itself. And this is just going to give it a nice look. So all you have to do is just get a knife and just make a quick design. And just a basic cross should be good enough. Just enough for the dough to open up when you bake it. And we're just going to cover it with a cloth and preheat our Dutch oven. Now I'm using a 7-quart Dutch oven. If you have anything smaller, then this size of dough won't work for you. So make sure you have a 7-quart Dutch oven, and we're going to preheat it at 450 degrees Fahrenheit. So once it's fully preheated, we're going to take out our Dutch oven and place the dough in there carefully, and then we're going to throw it back into the oven and bake for 40 minutes at 450 degrees Fahrenheit. And after 40 minutes, this is what it looks like. And just keep in mind, if it doesn't look as pretty as mine, you just give it another 5 minutes if it looks a little underdone. If you want to crisp it up, you can take out the parchment paper and place it on a trivet so the bottom of the bread doesn't burn. And then just bake it for an additional 5 minutes or 10, depending again how much you like your bread crispy. But this is what it should look like. Here's a nice close-up shot of that beautiful bread. And I know what you're thinking. You really want to cut this bread, but you probably should wait. In fact, you should definitely wait. Wait at least 20 minutes. You can poke and stare at it like I did. And when that 20 minutes is up, you can give it the first cut. The first cut is always the best cut, and I usually don't share that with anybody. And why should I? I work so hard on this. And just remember, this is all trial and error, so if your bread doesn't look like mine, or if it looks a little underdone, just add an